races in DTM. Frederick Vervisch and Robin Freins were also in the team. Robin Freins, ex-DTM racer. So second win in the Nürburgring 24 hours for Kelvin van der Linde. Lots of the DTM drivers were in action in the great race. Max Gutz finished second with Team Get Speed and a Mercedes. Maro Engel was on the podium as well in another Team Get Speed Mercedes. Alongside him was ex-DTM racer Daniel Ankadea. Nico Müller and René Rast, great rivals in the DTM, who've been fighting for the championship a couple of times. René Rast has beaten Nico Müller to the runner-up spot on 2 occasions in the past. They raced together in the Nürburgring 24 hours and finished in 4th place. And a good day as well for one of our teams in DTM, HRT, Haupt Racing, who finished with 2 cars in the top 10 in the Nürburgring 24 hours. The 7th place for the car that contained Lukas Stolz, and the boss himself, Hubert Haupt, was in the car that finished in 8th place. So everybody raring to go here at this wonderful circuit at Imola. It is the first time the DTM has been to this circuit. It's the 5th different Italian racetrack that the DTM has come to. The new GT3 era of the DTM, of course, began last year in Italy with a maiden trip to Monza. That was the 25th birthday weekend of one Kelvin van der Linde, and on his birthday he won the race, picked up the early championship lead. It was his birthday weekend again. Monday will be his 26th birthday. We're back in Italy. Can he repeat the feat? Well, the car was off the pace, particularly in qualifying trim at the Lausitzring. The team was scratching their heads. They went away after that event to Hockenheim with a small crew, just 4 mechanics, and they found the sweet spot. They figured out what had been the problem with the setup. They started to understand the new Evo package on the car a little bit more, and coming into the weekend, Kelvin was confident that things would be on the upturn, and they certainly seem to have been so far, with Kelvin fastest and then second fastest across the 2 free practice sessions that we had. Nico Müller behind him. Here's the reigning champion Maximilian Gutz, who's unveiled his new helmet design for the weekend. You can just about see it through the window there. It's a great design. It's a big pink Max graffiti style lettering on it, and he's also got prints of himself winning his first race in DTM at Lausitzring, celebrating his championship title last year at the Norris Ring. His mom and dad there as well, printed within the helmet, the pink and white design of his new helmet for this weekend, Maximilian Gutz. But he'll be looking to get his campaign up and running, back in 15th place in the championship at the moment. There's Lukas Stolz getting ready to go, the quiet German who has had 1 weekend last season as a guest driver in DTM. He's come in this year and is very, very strong indeed. So we add to Monza, Mugello, Misano and Adria, this great venue at Imola, the Autodromo Enzo e Dino Ferrari, to the list of DTM circuits that we visited. It's an anti-clockwise circuit, runs for 4.9 kilometres, which is just over 3 miles, named after Ferrari's founder, of course, Enzo Ferrari, and his son, Dino Ferrari, or Alfred Dino Ferrari, who tragically passed away when he was just 24 years of age. This circuit first opened in 1953, held its first motorcycle race that year, held its first car race in 1954, and has been on the Formula 1 calendar since it hosted the 1980 Italian Grand Prix. Most of the time Grand Prix have been held here, and there have been 30 of them now. It's been the San Marino Grand Prix, named after the nearby state. But of course, recently it came back onto the calendar during the pandemic in 2020, and the Grand Prix these days, which runs alongside the Italian Grand Prix at Monza, is named after the local area in which we sit, the Emilia-Romagna region of Italy. We're in the north of Italy, about 40 kilometres from Bologna, and the circuit almost feels like a street circuit as we get qualifying underway, because it is right within the city. You just walk out of the paddock and you're in the roads, by the river. It's just a short walk into the town centre, and right next to the circuit itself you've got the Acqua Minerale Park, which you can run through, walk through. It's beautiful, right next to the racetrack, and within that we have the memorial to the late great Ayrton Senna, the 3-time Formula 1 world champion, who was tragically killed here in 1994. The same weekend we lost Roland Ratzenberger in a tragic weekend for Formula 1, but it was I had luck yesterday after free practice. First time I've been here for years, and it's been well kept over the years as a statue to Senna, and flags and messages and flowers from around the world on the fence to the outside of Tamburello, where he lost his life. The circuit very much reshaped since then. Well, Mirko Bortolotti going very well in his first full campaign in the championship. He's one of the home drivers here. As Verena said, second in the championship. Sheldon van der Linde leads on 66 points. Mirko Bortolotti second on 51. And then we've got Lucas Auer third on 48 points. Nico Müller fourth on 38. Lucas Stoltz fifth on 37. And Maro Engels sixth on 33, with René Rast moving up to seventh place after his first podium of the season. Last time out. Three different winners so far from the four races at Portimao and Lausitzring. We had 4 different pole sitters so far this year, though. Nobody's got a double pole position. Bortolotti was on pole in the first session at Portimao. Müller qualified on pole in the second session in Portugal. And then Lucas Auer on pole in session 1 at the Lausitzring. And then Sheldon van der Linde got pole position last time out for round 4. So lap times, as I say, we're looking to be at least in the 1-minute 40s, I think, maybe even touching down to the 1-minute 39s. Sector times will light up. If you get a purple colour, that is a absolute best sector time, the lap divided into 3. If it's green, it's a personal best on your graphic. The first sector is the shortest. Yesterday, the fastest first sector time overall was set by Philipp Eng with a 21.027. The second sector is longer, 32.2 seconds for Kelvin van der Linde yesterday. And Kelvin was also quickest in the third sector with a 46.543. So the third sector is the longest. Although Nico Müller's name was not mentioned as any quickest sector time yesterday, he wasn't quickest overall in all the sectors, but whereas Kelvin put a quick sector together on one lap and another quick sector together on another lap, Nico just strung together a very consistent lap time to edge the times. Laurens Vanthoor then, he was unlucky not to get his second class victory at Le Mans last weekend. GTA Pro Class driver was his team leading the category going into the morning on Sunday and suffered a puncture. We'll see how he gets on here. Thomas Preining to set the early time, but it's only a 1-minute 45.594. We're going to get a lot quicker than that. Ferraris didn't show their hand yesterday in terms of flat-out pace. And in the second free practice session, Nick Cassidy was back in 20th place. Felipe Fraga was back in 23rd. We'll be hoping for a much less dramatic qualifying than he had at Lausitzring, where the car burst into flames, the Ferrari. And Felipe bravely used his reactions and his calm approach to help the marshals put the fire out. Right, René Rast to set a 21.1. So this is going to be the first meaningful lap, I think, from René. A 21.1 for him. Laurens Vanthoor's not far behind with a 21.2. But Rast on a good lap here. Ricardo Feller is ahead of them on the road. And Ricardo looks like he is going to pop up with maybe a 1-minute 41, something like that. But I think René Rast and now maybe Sheldon van der Linde are both going to beat that. So 33.1 for Rast through the second sector. Well, that's 7 tenths behind yesterday. We're looking at Ricardo Feller, who's coming towards the end of his lap and probably about to go to the top of the times for now. Sheldon van der Linde, though, has gone quicker by about a tenth over the first 2 sectors than René Rast. So Preining's time is about to be obliterated by Ricardo Feller, who does a 1-minute 41.323. Sheldon van der Linde in the red and yellow BMW. He's in the final sector now, the longest sector, and he's on a real charge on this lap. Thomas Preining down to second place, down to third, because Kelvin van der Linde goes into the 140s, so does René Rast, 140.687. But Sheldon van der Linde was up on both of them in the first 2 sectors, and he's coming towards the end of his lap. Ricardo Feller has started his next lap very well indeed. The absolute best first sector time with a 21.04. What about Sheldon van der Linde? Didn't quite do it. It faded away a little bit in the third sector, so third. So René Rast quickest, 140.687. Kelvin van der Linde second, 140.948, and a 141.015, just 67 thousandths behind his brother for Sheldon, who was up on them for the first 2 sectors. René Rast becomes the first driver to break into the 20-second mark for that first sector. So that's the best so far, 20.9. But Sheldon, behind him on the road, has done the same thing and gone a slightly quicker, a 20.938. Marco Whitman a couple of tenths, nearly 3 tenths down in the first sector. But a good second sector at 32.91. Marco Whitman looking to push on here, looking for his first podium of the season, the double champion. Who, remember, for most of last year was a title contender. He runs wide, though. and kicks up the dust as he comes out of the final turn on that way out of Rivazza. Quite a few were kicking up the dust there yesterday. That's what Marco did. Lose some traction, but it's a pretty good lap. 1:41.193 for the Vulcan Horse BMW. Kelvin van der Linde absolute best through the second sector. So he's a tenth and a half down on his brother through sector 1, but he is up on his brother in sector 2. It's the third sector that is the key one. Dennis Olsen has flown up near the top of the times as well, but Kelvin van der Linde with a 1:43.48, a 1:42.21. Absolute best through the final sector for René Rast, though. Means that Kelvin is only on provisional pole for a couple of seconds. Ricardo Feller, look, 20.87. Has he got enough for 3 quick laps in the tyres? We'll see if the Michelin's hold up for the rest of the lap. Sheldon van der Linde improves his time, but stays third with a 1:40.559. But here is the number 7 Audi of Ricardo Feller. He's been impressive at the start of this season. Some bad luck last time out the Lausitz ring with a puncture. But he's qualified well this year. He's best qualifying so far, 5th in the second session at the Lausitz ring. And Ricardo Feller with lots of GT experience already, despite the fact he's only just had his 22nd birthday. He's already had 6 years GT experience. Has had 3 top 10 finishes already this season, and sits just outside the top 10 in the championship. Rast, though, absolute best middle sector, 32.83 seconds. So it's Rast, Kelvin van der Linde, Sheldon van der Linde, the top 3. Mario Engels come up to 4th. Thomas Preining improved again to 5th. Dennis Olsen is 6th. Marius Sugg, 19-year-old, was quick yesterday, is 7th. Marcus Whitman at the moment is 8th. Lucas Stoltz has just got ahead of him, so he's 9th now, so Stoltz in 8th, but Whitman crosses the line. His time updates and he goes 4th quickest with that, 1:40.747. René Rast is on a charge, though, on this lap. Could he get himself onto provisional pole position by an extended margin? Yes, he can. 1:40.221. He grows his advantage to just over a tenth of a second now, as Thomas Preining again improves with a 1:40.527. Actually, Brest comes in, doesn't finish the lap, even though he did an absolute best second sector time. So there's more to come, I think, from René. Personal best in sector 1, absolute best in sector 2, but then he went into the pits. 0.12 seconds behind him is Kelvin van der Linde, who's also in the pits now. And we're looking at Clement Schmidt, who didn't take part at all in free practice 2. He tried to find him this morning to see what the problem was, but there was no sign of him. But he was quick in free practice 1 in that Lamborghini. So we are just about halfway into the session. This 20-minute session to set the grid for race 1 of the weekend, and 10 minutes 15 seconds left on the clock. Nico Muller still pushing out there, 32.79 through the second sector. So he's around about 35 seconds away from coming home. He's just started the final sector. Nico Stoltz started the lap pretty well, and even though it's not an absolutely best or even personal best middle sector, it's a pretty good one at 33.0. Right, here's Nico Muller pushing on. Clement Schmidt's got himself up to 3rd place now in the GRT GrasserRacing.com Lamborghini. 1:40.523, just 4 thousandths ahead of Thomas Preining, and 36 thousandths ahead, as Muller comes in, of Sheldon van der Linde. So it's very tightly packed. There's more to come, isn't there, because Kelvin van der Linde and that man there who was quickest in free practice 2 yesterday, Nico Muller, both on really good laps, but opting to come in at the end. So you can definitely get 2, maybe 3 push laps out of these tyres today, even though it's crept up now, the track temperature, to 38.9 degrees. Air temperature's risen 2 degrees since we came on air. It's over 29 degrees now. There is the Gustine Bernhard Porsche of Thomas Preining as we get a replay of way out wide through the gravel, Ricardo Feller. There were 23 drivers that picked up track limits warnings yesterday and had laps deleted in free practice 2. So 23 of the 28 drivers picking up at least 1 lap that was dropped. Those first curbs with the Italian tricolor, they're the ones to watch. Turn 9 caught a lot of drivers out yesterday, Piratella. Turn 13 and 15 as well. So 13 is the exit to Acqua Minerale, 15 is the exit to the next chicane at Variante Alta. You also got to make sure you stay on the right side of the bollard at turn 14 going into Variante Alta. Otherwise, you're in trouble. Do it once, do it twice, you're okay. Do it third time, you get a black and white flag. Do it a fourth time, you can start picking up penalties then. It can be up to 3-place grid penalty. And each time after that you do it, it's another 3 places on the grid, so they have to be careful. Had a couple, Maro Engel and Laurens Vanthoor, that have had lap times deleted. And also Clement Schmidt, not the fastest lap that he set, but 1 lap was deleted. Lucas Stoltz has had a lap deleted for track limits as well. Laurens Vanthoor is under investigation for impeding. And another one that lost a lap time, according to the screen, was Maximilian Gutz in the Mika Motorsports Mercedes. So the session starting to get back into life. Super slow-mo of just how much they attack the curbs here. René Rast getting airborne in the Abt Sportsline Audi. 3-time champion on the attack. He's on provisional pole position. We've got Thomas Preining 4th, Maro Engel 8th, have both just gone back out onto the circuit, and René's not going to be far behind them by the looks of it. So 1:40.221. Whoever gets pole position, of course, he's going to get the lap record because we haven't been here before.
A long clear track ahead of you. No car on track at the moment on time lap. I try to keep you updated. Remember, out prep now, please.
So Mirko Bortolotti heads out. Now, it's not the first time Mirko has gone for this tactic. Nico Muller's somebody that's tried it before as well, in terms of not going out at all for the first part of qualifying. So Mirko hasn't been out yet, nor really is Laurens Vanthoor. No, he's under investigation for blocking, but he hasn't fully completed a lap. He's been on the track, but he never fully completed a lap. So Bortolotti, at the moment, is 27th. Vanthoor is 28th. So you save some tyres, you let everybody else clear up the circuit, get the rubber down, wait for the track temperature to go up a bit more, but you put yourself in a position where you've only got 6 minutes now to set a lap time. If you get blocked on a lap, or you make a mistake, suddenly, or a red flag comes out, something like that, or a yellow flag somewhere, it starts to get a bit stressful, doesn't it? So leaving it to the last moment, Mirko Bortolotti, Lamborghini factory driver, looking to become the 3rd Italian to win a DTM championship. 1989 was the first time we had an Italian DTM champion, Roberto Ravaglia, who is running these days the Cicalto racing team, and the BMW that's come in this weekend as a guest driver of 5-time DTM race winner, an ex-Grand Prix driver, Timo Glock, in the number 50 car, competing this weekend. So Roberto runs that team. And Nicola Larini won the title in an Italian car in an Alfa Romeo back in 1993. Bortolotti, though, not thinking about that at the moment. He's just trying to think about getting himself up to the top of the times. Just briefly saw in the garage there Manuel Reuter, it's DTM star, who is the sporting director of the Austrian team now this season, coming in, bringing all of his experience in for the Grasser Racing team, a former Blancpain endurance teams and drivers champions. Lots of experience running Mirko Bortolotti. So René Rast quickest, Kelvin van der Linde second, Clement Schmidt third quickest at the moment. And this is very, very impressive from Clements. We haven't seen the best of Clements yet, but we'll know he's a good driver. Hasn't yet gone very well in qualifying. His best grid so far, Clements, is 17th place on the grid for race 1 at the Lausitz-Ring. That's the best he's done so far. At the moment, he's in 3rd place, the 1:40.523. I think even if he didn't improve for the second part of the session now, he's still going to end up, surely, with his best position of the season so far. So 1/10 of a second is the advantage as it stands for René Rast. The closest gap we've had so far in a qualifying session is much, much tighter than that. 0.011 seconds, 11 thousandths of a second. In the GT3 era is the closest gap we've had in qualifying so far. It's at Portimao, the gap between Bortolotti and Grenier, 11 thousandths of a second. But it's pretty tight, 0.127 seconds, René Rast's advantage. Kelvin van der Linde second, Clement Schmidt third, Thomas Preining fourth. So it's Audi, Lamborghini, Porsche, BMW with Sheldon van der Linde in fifth, and Audi with Nico Müller in 6th place. First BMW, Marco Whitman, currently in 7th place, but things tend to change very rapidly in the second half of sessions. Right, 3 minutes to go. Dennis Olsen pushing a bit too hard there, getting the back of the SSR Performance Porsche, stepped out of line. That was on the exit to Variante Alti. Heading down now into Rivazza. The final sequence of corners are great. Run of corners, this downhill, double apex left-hander. Brief touch of the brakes, come out of there, try not to run wide. That's where Marco Whitman put a couple of wheels through the gravel earlier on. His teammate Laurens Vantur needs to get a lap in because he hasn't yet got a lap. So Bortolotti and Vantur are about to set their first laps of the session. And Laurens Vantur goes straight into the top 10 with that. 9th place for him. Still waiting for Bortolotti to come through, but he's had a good start to the lap. A bad first effort. He's less than 3/10 down in the first sector. So the next lap, I think, will be the one to watch for Bortolotti. But René Rast with the absolute best first sector time now. 20.83 seconds. Looking to beat his own lap time. Remember, he was on for a really strong lap just before he came into the pits in the first half of the session, and he's got straight back down to business now. Nico Müller, a couple of tenths behind him in the first sector with a 21.02. 33.3 for René Rast. Loses a little bit of time, though, in that middle sector, but it's the final sector that he really takes it all in. The run through Variante Alta, down through Rivazza, and back about that corner at the start-finish line. That's the key area of the lap. So René Rast, can he beat his own 1 minute 40.198 second lap? Bortolotti's first time was a 1:43.9, so he's stone last at the moment in 28th place. Sure it won't last, though. Bortolotti comes through, only a 1:42.59. He's still in last place here. He's getting a bit stressed. He's 2.3 seconds off the pace, so he's not yet pushing. Lucas Auer comes into the top 10 in 8th place. But René Rast, what's this lap time going to do for him? 1 minute 40.88, because behind it, Clement Schmidt now had just popped across the line in front of him and went a fraction quicker. 1 minute 40.198. Clement Schmidt by 23 thousandths of a second. And in the final minute of the session, he's on for provisional pole position here. René Rast down to second. And then 3rd place, just 25 thousandths of a second behind him, is Nico Müller, and Kelvin van der Linde has gone off the road in the final minute of the session, but he gets going again, which is a relief for everybody else trying to set lap times here, not least Mirko Bortolotti. Ricardo Fella's got a track limits warning on this lap, so whatever he does won't count. Great effort from Rob Vinicius as well, goes into 9th place. Excellent effort for him. Bortolotti's on a real push lap now, though. Will he have time to get one more in? No, I don't think he answer. This is going to be his last lap. There's only 20 seconds left to go. And he's only just now coming through Variante Alta. So this is the last throw of the dice for Mirko Bortolotti. Absolute best middle sector for René Rast briefly, but then Nico Müller, look, has just done a 32.74. So Müller looking to get himself back onto the front row of the grid. He needs to find 49 thousandths of a second to get back onto pole position here, Nico Müller, and leapfrog Schmidt and Rast. The clock has ticked down to 0. Bortolotti is fighting to get any kind of grid here. It's going to be a big improvement. Should be top 10. How high can he get up the order, though? From last, he goes all the way up to 2nd place. Mirko Bortolotti with that one flying lap. He goes onto the front row of the grid. Schmidt on provisional pole position for now. Nico Müller trying to do better. René Rast is going to get to the line first. René Rast is down to 3rd place now. Can he get back on the front row? Yes, he can. Provisional pole position, but Müller is right behind him. He crosses the line and is just behind in 2nd place. They both set personal best laps, but Ricardo Feller, look, is still out there and still flying. A 32.74 for him in the middle sector. So Feller's previous lap was quick, but it was taken away from him because of track limits. But Kelvin van der Linde having a spin on the previous lap, but what a recovery. He's just done the absolute best middle sector. He's 2 tenths down, almost 2 tenths down in the first sector, but that's the short sector. It doesn't matter so much. Sectors 2 and 3 where he can make the time up. Van der Linde still pushing here for provisional pole. What about Ricardo Feller? He comes through and he gets back up to 4th place, 1 minute 40.137. What a turnaround this would be for Van der Linde if he can snatch pole position. It certainly looks like he's going to improve upon 6th place, which is where he is now. Quickest and second in the 2 free practice sessions yesterday. Where can he end up? Can he do it? He goes for the line. He crosses the line. No. 7th place. Fades away. Thomas Biermeier can't believe it there. How did that happen? He thought he was going to be at least up in the top 3 with that lap, but it just faded. Maybe the tyres were past their best. He had that spin probably on the lap where he could have gone for provisional pole position, and he ends up down in 7th place. So it's despair on that side of the garage, but joy on the other, because their other man, René Rast, has got provisional pole position. He's back, everybody. Didn't score points in his first return weekend at Portimao. Did at Lausitzring, got on the podium, and now here he's on pole. 5 qualifying sessions, 5 different pole sitters.
René, geiler Job. Mei, saugeil.
Danke euch. Geil gemacht, alle zusammen.
Thanks everyone, says René Rast. Wow. When I got here at 8 o'clock this morning, René Rast, I think, was the first driver here, was already walking around the back of the garages. Very focused man. And the 3-time champion claims pole position by 0.188 seconds in the end, which looks fairly comfortable. That's the replay on board Kelvin van der Linde as he had that spin. Just took a bit too much curb there, didn't he? And as the car landed again on the track, dug in the back, and it was unsettled going over the curbs, just lost the back end, stood on the brakes, I think avoided the barriers and any real damage, but an opportunity missed for Kelvin van der Linde. 7th place. It's not a disaster, but don't worry about it, he's not going to be happy with that. It's still actually his best qualifying of the year so far, so that's one good thing, but he would have been gunning for pole position. René Rast, though, it is that's done it. 139.817. What a lap that was from Rast. 2nd place with a 140.005 for Nico Muller. Also improved at the end of the session. We had the top 6 all improved on the very end of the session. Most of them put their last lap in as their best lap. So it all changed. Thomas Preining, great effort. His best qualifying by a mile. He gets his first championship point as well in the Kuss Team Bernhard Porsche for 3rd place. Clement Schmidt was on provisional pole with a minute to go, but he ends up in 4th place. It's still easily his best qualifying in DTM so far, though. And the same is true for Riccardo Feller in 5th place. Mirko Bortolotti, 6th, but remember, he was last with just a minute to go in the session. So 6th place for Bortolotti. Kelvin van der Linde we've covered in 7th. Marco Whitman, not too bad in 8th place. This is his 2nd best qualifying of the year so far. Sheldon van der Linde, the championship leader, will have to start from 9th and with 25 kilograms of success ballast on board as the winner of the previous race. And rounding out your top 10 is going to be Lucas Auer, the first of the Mercedes. The Mercedes have definitely been struggling for pace so far here at Imola. Auer in 10th, Engel in 11th place. Somebody else, Engel, that's got to carry success ballast. So Rast, Muller and Preining, the top 3 drivers. And you cannot keep a good man down. René Rast, plenty of GT racing experience, of course, but in a DTM setup with the BOP and the different tyres, it still takes a bit of getting used to, even for the great René Rast. I think it's fair to say he's up to speed now, though. And remember, he's never raced here before at this circuit. Others have. He's tested here at the start of the year in very different temperatures and conditions. But René, one of the drivers that has never raced here in the past. But he claims his 21st career pole position. 3 championship points, 2 championship points for Nico Muller in 2nd, and 1 championship point, his first in DTM. Only his 3rd weekend for Thomas Preining. He said he was in good spirits yesterday after free practice. They found the sweet spot. The Porsche is going well, and Thomas Preining, the former Porsche Carrera Cup Deutschland champion, former European karting champion, the young driver, the young Austrian, will be absolutely thrilled to bits with that. 3rd place on the grid. So the drivers, first thing they're going to do, even after a short, sharp qualifying session, is rehydrate. Imagine how they're going to feel after almost an hour in the cars later on with the 55-minute plus 1-lap races. It's going to get it hotter as well. Temperature going up all the time. Track temperature nearly 40 degrees now. We got to 47 degrees track temperature. I think it's 48 actually at one point yesterday. So there they pose for photos. René Rast in the middle. To the left of your picture, Thomas Preining, and to the right, Nico Muller. The top 3 after the first qualifying session of the weekend here at Imola, and a very, very important qualifying session for René Rast to re-establish himself after that first podium of the season last time out at the Lausitzring. 7th in the championship and still very much involved. Some super slow-mos then of our top 3. Thomas Preining coming home in 3rd place. Let's hear now from our drivers, because down in the pit lane to catch up with them, here's Verena.
And I've got Nico Miller here. Congratulations, Nico, P2. That was a tough qualifying, huh?
Yeah, it was not the cleanest of qualies. First run was a mess. I didn't really have a clear lap, and I knew I had to nail it on the second one. So yeah, we didn't really have much more than what we could show in the second run. Rene was just a bit quicker today, so I guess we have to be happy with P2.
All right, well, it's going to be a very exciting race, that's for sure. Thank you so much, Nico. And quickly, we've still got Thomas Preining, who did a P3. He did a fantastic job. They're pushing really hard. So, Thomas, congratulations to P3. So hopefully we'll see you later on the podium after the race.
Yeah, this is definitely the target now. We had no real idea where we are actually, even though it went well yesterday, but this is definitely by far the best result, and we're extremely happy.
All right, but it's going to be a very hot race later on, that's for sure. I think cockpit temperatures around 70 degrees, so what are you expecting?
I expect a lot of sweat, and it's definitely going to be a race over the whole distance. Anything can happen. It's also tough on the tires, and I hope we survive and we get home with a trophy.
All right, well, crossing our fingers. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And that's it from now here from the qualifying. We'll see you later on for the race. And now here are the highlights. See you later. Enjoy.